Hey guys, we're going to move into our next grammar lesson, which is all about irony. And irony is the use of words to convey a meaning that is the opposite of what is actually being said. Okay, our focus this week, okay, and actually it's going to be for the next 2 weeks. Our focus is we are going to be focusing on the three different types of irony, and I'll go over them here in a little bit. Our objective is that I can distinguish between the three different types of irony when used in a text, and I can determine the meaning of situational irony when used in the text. That's the first type of irony we're going to go over. I can determine the meaning of verbal irony when used in text, and that's the second type of irony that I'll go over today. And then the third one is that I can determine the meaning of dramatic irony when used in text. And how do we know when we've got this? Okay, we know that we've got this by scoring an 80% or better on the irony quiz. So again, irony is a type of figurative language, okay, that we're going to continue to kind of dive into and learn about. So again, irony is the use of words to convey a meaning that is the opposite of what is actually being said. So you're going to have to keep that in your mind. It's going to be the opposite of what is actually being said. And again, there's three different types. We have situational, verbal, and dramatic. And I think you'll be pretty surprised that you already kind of know these different types of irony, or if you've heard irony being used, you maybe just didn't know that it was situational, or you didn't know it was verbal or dramatic. So I'm going to kind of teach you the differences between all three of them. So we're going to start with situational. So situational, this type of irony occurs when what actually happens is the opposite of what is expected to happen. And when I show you some examples, it will make more sense. So example 1, the fire station burns down. This is an example of situational irony. Why? Because this is completely unexpected. Because one would assume that the fire chief or the firemen or women would keep their building safe and would know how to fight a fire or prevent a fire from starting in the first place. So the fire station burning down is an example of situational irony. Number 2, the police station gets robbed. Again, this is unexpected. It's the opposite of what we think would happen, because one again would assume that police officers are professional crime fighters and they would be able to help themselves. Okay, and they would be able to secure and keep their building or their station secure from criminals. And the last example I have here for situational irony is the teacher fails the test. And this is an example of situational irony because teachers are usually the ones giving tests rather than taking them. So most people assume that they would be experts at passing them. So all three of these are examples of situational irony, okay? Because, okay, what's actually happening is the opposite of what we would expect to happen. So let's practice. Okay, now you try this one. Explain why this is an example of situational irony. A pilot has a fear of heights. All right, we're going to move on to the second type of irony. Okay, and this is called verbal irony. Okay, this occurs when speakers say the opposite of what they mean, and it's often sarcastic. So you've maybe heard that word before, sarcastic or sarcasm. Okay, and again, when I show you the examples, it will make more sense. So one example of verbal irony now that we're talking about. On the way to school, the school bus gets a flat tire, and the bus driver says, "Excellent. This day couldn't start off any better." Okay, this is an example of verbal irony because getting a flat tire, again, is the opposite of what the driver would want to happen. And the bus driver here is being sarcastic. Does the bus driver really think it's excellent and it's a good way to start the day? No. It'd be a horrible way to start the day. Number 2, looking at her son's messy room, mom says, "Wow, you could win an award for cleanliness." Again, this is an example of verbal irony. This is an example because getting an award for cleanliness is the opposite of what the mom would do for her son's messy room. The mom is being sarcastic. Would the boy actually get this award? No, because the boy's room is not actually clean. Okay, again, now this is practice. Now you try. Okay, explain why this is an example of verbal irony. In the movie Annie, you've probably seen it or heard about it, the orphans say, "We love you, Mrs. Hannigan," to their guardian who is mean to them. Why is this an example of verbal irony? Okay, and then the last one, or the last type of irony that we're going to discuss is dramatic irony. Now, this occurs when the audience knows something that's going on in a situation, but the characters are unaware of what's going on. And usually this takes place in some sort of drama, your play, your movie, okay, even sometimes in your books. Because in this, the words and the actions of the characters take on a different meaning. And this can create intense suspense or humor. So again, let's practice. Or I'll give you a couple examples here. Example 1 of dramatic irony. A girl in a horror film hides in a closet where the killer just went. Now, we've all seen movies like this or something similar to it, and we all think, why are you going in there? Okay, we know that person's in there. The bad guy's in there. Okay, that's an example of dramatic irony because we, the audience, knows the killer or bad guy's in there, but she or the character does not. And this increases the suspense of the movie. Okay, example 2. In Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, which you've probably seen or read, we know that the old woman bringing the apple is the wicked queen who wants to kill Snow White. However, Snow White does not. She purchases the apple or takes the apple from, the woman. She takes the bite and falls. Again, we know that the queen, is the woman bringing the apple, but Snow White doesn't. Okay, again, this increases that suspense of that movie. Example 3, another Disney movie, Beauty and the Beast, has examples of the dramatic irony. And the audience knows from the beginning of the movie that the Beast is the prince. However, Belle, or the character, does not. So again, this creates that suspense in the movie because we're waiting for her to figure this out or the clues to come known to her. So these are all examples of this dramatic irony that either increase suspense or increase humor. Now again, you try. Here's your practice. Explain why this is an example of dramatic irony. In a scary movie, the character goes into a house they think is empty, but the audience knows the killer is in the house or the bad guy. What does this increase now? I know that's dramatic irony, but what does it increase? All right, let's review. So, what is irony? How many different types of irony are there? Now, sometimes, let me move me. Cartoons are a good example of the use of irony. So I have a couple cartoons here that we're going to look at, and I want you to try to figure out what type of irony is shown. And remember, you have situational, where it's the opposite of what you think would happen. You have verbal, which is that use of sarcasm, or you have dramatic, where you know something or the audience knows something and the characters don't. So if you look here at this cartoon, okay, you see these kids on the bench, looks like they're on their phones or tablets. This girl's on her tablet. This boy's on a tablet and walking. All their heads are down. And the sign here, because you have to read everything in this cartoon, says caution, children playing. So I want you to think to yourself, what type of irony is being shown here? Is it situational, verbal, or dramatic? Okay, here's our second cartoon. Okay, you see these two boys here. You see this boy clapping, and you see this boy has dropped his lunch tray. Okay, what type of irony do you think is shown here? Again, you have your three choices: situational, verbal, or dramatic. Okay, and I believe this is the last cartoon. We have, okay, these two people sitting, it looks like on a couch or in a movie theater with their popcorn and stuff. Those are kind of my clues. And the girl says, oh, she doesn't know that he's about to walk into her sister's trap. OMG, this is going to explode in their faces. What type of irony do you think is shown in this cartoon? All right. Okay, we're going to wrap it up here. So irony is actually going to take us 2 weeks, unlike the other skills that we've been doing. We've been getting done in 1 week. Irony is a little bit longer, and we're going to take 2 weeks so we can really master these 3 different types. So the first week, Tuesday, you have an Edpuzzle video. Wednesday, you'll really focus on situational irony with an interactive worksheet and an assigned Edpuzzle video. Thursday, you'll do the same thing, but will be with verbal irony. And Friday, you'll do the same thing, but with dramatic irony. Now, on these days, you'll see all these things highlighted. You're going to do the assigned video first on Edpuzzle, then the activity or the interactive worksheet. It will make more sense and it'll be easier if you do the Edpuzzle video first, where it kind of reviews and teaches you that certain type of irony. Then do the worksheet. Week 2 here, we'll do an irony review Edpuzzle. Wednesday, we'll kind of do an irony review, which will review all 3 with some type of interactive worksheet. And Thursday, we'll review all 3, focusing more on determining the meaning of the irony being used. And then that second week on that Friday is when you'll have your quiz. And that's when we're looking for that 80% or better, so you know that you've got this or you've mastered this skill of irony. All right, last thing here is, okay, I just want to know how second quarter is going for you guys. We've gotten to a pretty good start. We're about 2 weeks in, and we're really enjoying having everyone back in person, and we really hope it continues. It's nice to put a lot of names to faces and get to know you guys a little bit better and not through a computer screen. It's nice to see you guys in person and face to face. So I want you to let us know how you think second quarter is going. And I hope second quarter continues to go as well as it has been going. So thank you, and I will see you in class.